It's time to cook with Susan Beck. Well, today I am here to wish you Happy New Year and show you how to take that ham bone that's left over from your Christmas ham and turn it into something usable. So after Christmas dinner, I wrapped up the ham bone in some tin foil and just tossed it into the freezer. And now tonight we want to turn this into soup. You can make soup out of it, you could make scalloped potatoes and ham out of it, you could boil the ham off and use it in omelets, but this is a great way to maximize the price of your ham and not let any of it go to waste. It's unbelievably easy to do this. I have filled this pan, a half to 2/3 full of water. I may adjust that after I put this ham bone down in. And I'm going to just a little bit more water in because I want it to cover my ham. And then I am going to put this on the top of the stove, just at a simmer. I just want it to boil that meat, very slowly, not a true rolling boil. And then it'll make some great broth, as well as make the ham just come right off the bone. Let's begin by setting this burner to a medium and adding a little more water so that that bone is completely covered. And our goal is to get all of that great ham off the bone. It took, 12, 15 minutes to get this pot of water really going and hot, and it's actually really boiling now. So at this point, I like to turn it off that burner and move it back to a smaller burner. And I am gonna set this truly at just a simmer. I just need to keep that water hot so that it's kind of cooking that meat and tenderizing it, but I don't need to have it where I'm worried about it boiling over and so forth. I just want it to slowly simmer there. In fact, you can even do this with the lid off. If you do it with the lid off, you probably need to turn your heat up just a little bit higher. You want to just keep those small, subtle bubbles. This ham is looking great, and I can just pull that ham right off of the bone there. That tells me that it is ready to come out of the water. I'd say mine has been in there for about an hour and 15 minutes, and an hour to an hour and a half should be sufficient, but it really comes down to, can you pick it off the bone yet? I don't want to do this over the stove because I don't want any broth to run down in there and have to clean my oven top as well. So I'm just going to move that off the stove, and then I've got both the spatula to kind of go underneath it and the tongs. I'm just going to let it drip off a little bit, and then I'm going to set it on my large cutting board. Now my large cutting board has a groove around it that is really nice when you're cutting up meat where you want to maybe maintain the drippings there, and I don't want these running all over the counter, although I let it run off pretty well into the pan, so shouldn't be a whole lot. Otherwise, like a jelly roll pan or something would be great. I like to let mine sit and cool for a little bit. You can see that steam rising off of there. It's just a lot easier to handle if it's not quite so hot. So I'm just gonna let it be and come back in a little bit. So there's my ham bone cooling. And then look at this beautiful ham stock I have from boiling that meat down. So I like to be able to handle this with my hands and not have to worry about getting burnt as I do it. So you can just take a fork and kind of pull it out of there, or as I said, just pull it out with your fingers as well. And you'll be amazed at how much meat you can get off of your ham bone. Now I do this not only with ham. Anytime I make a full chicken, I will boil that carcass down. My husband takes our chickens to the Amish to be butchered that we raise, and when he comes home he has to cut them up into the breasts and the thighs and the wings and so forth, and those carcasses all get boiled down, and then we just freeze little packages of that shredded meat, just like I could do with this ham. Turkey, our Thanksgiving turkey, always gets boiled down and made into either casseroles or some soup. So now, as I go through this, I see here's a chunk of fat on there that I don't want. So I always want to have this, into pieces that are truly ready to use. Here's another piece of fat that I just don't want. So pick all of that off as you go. And Just keep at it until you don't see any more meat. But you just want those nice, soft, tender pieces, not looking to, get anything that's a little bit gristly and so forth. So if I can't like tear it with my hands, it's probably too tough and gristly to be using in something else. And there we have a nice bowl of ham pieces, all ready to be used in your favorite recipes or your omelets. Some of our favorite recipes would be scalloped potatoes and ham, would be split pea soup, which is my husband's favorite, or potato soup. Watch my next episode of Time to Cook with Susan Beck for my potato soup recipe.